Welcome, everyone. What we're watching, episode 63, TJ. We made it. We're back.
63.
Getting ever so close.
63 is for me.
That's all we need right there. That is all we need right there. Yeah. But we're back. It's been a little bit of a break, but that's on me. Had some personal stuff going on, but hopefully we're on the other side of it now and we can at least get on a semi-regular schedule. Every time I say we're going to get on a regular schedule, they're like, not yet. So I'm going to say semi-regular, and that'll at least get us.
Everybody likes a semi.
That's right. So, but before we chop up season 3 of Sherlock, as we promised we were going to do, I had this thought, my guy, and I forget what brought it on me, but I've been obsessing on it ever since. Do you know the guy that part of his job is every 6 months he has to climb that tall tower and change that light bulb at the top? Have you ever heard of this guy?
Is it which tower? Because I may have watched a movie about it. I watched a movie about a tower just the other day.
This is in like South Dakota. It's like a radio tower or a light tower or something. It's part of FAA regulations. They have to have a light on at the top of that tower.
Right.
And this guy gets paid $20,000 every time he climbs it, but it's part of his job. You know, because he's got to, he has to clip on and then climb and then clip off and clip. It's not just climbing. I mean, it's a tall thing. That's why. But twice a year, you vaguely have heard of it, correct?
Look, like I said, I just saw a movie recently, so it's kind of ironic that you would be bringing this up right now. Please go ahead.
I knew that there was a reason that I was like, I got to get TJ's. So I'm thinking, if I'm this guy, I know those 2 weeks that he has to do it. Let's say he does it on a Wednesday. I'm locked down that entire week. Everybody knows, listen, next week, Joey has to do the light. He's doing it on Wednesday. Don't bother me the whole week because I have to check the weather. If Wednesday's no good, I got to do it on Tuesday or Thursday, and that throws my entire week off. But let's say it's sunny and clear. Wednesday, on Tuesday, I'm thinking about climbing on Wednesday. On Monday, I'm thinking about checking my equipment on Tuesday. On Thursday, I'm reviewing everything that happens and coming down off of that high. And on Friday, I say, all right, what could I have done better? I'm glad I do this. What do I have to worry about next time? Don't bother me that entire week. It's on his email. It is marked out on his, like the bosses, they're cool. Don't give him no other work. Next week is tower week. It's light changing week. Don't mess with Joey. All right. His family knows about it. We going up to the lake next week. Is Joey and Teresa and the kids coming? Well, Teresa and the kids might be able to come, but next week is Tower Week. Is it Tower Week already? Man, the year's just flying by. But he's got that one guy. It's probably his brother, a cousin, a friend, always asking him to do something on Tower Week. And upset.
I don't care if it's Tower Week. I said what I said.
Always upset he can't do it. Hey man, can you come over Monday and help me move a sectional? I ain't doing nothing next week. It's time. Don't bring up that tower stuff. That's always an excuse.
You ain't got to do the thing till Wednesday. I asked for help on Monday. You didn't even ask what time on Monday. It could have been Monday morning early. You didn't even ask.
He knows him. You and I both know it ain't Monday morning early. I help you move a sectional. I hurt my back. Tower still got to have his lights changed on Wednesday. Don't mess with me on Tower Week.
Don't mess with me on Tower Week. He's putting that on a shirt. He has that on done in calligraphy on a canvas in his home. It might even be on the side of his truck. Don't mess with me on Tower Week.
And everybody knows it. Like he's on his Facebook profile. If MySpace was still around, it's the last thing on MySpace. It's Tom and Edna before she passed away, and his third friend is "Don't mess with me on Tower Week."
Flashing sign because he knows the proper the coding because you can do that on MySpace. MySpace, you could make your page your page. If you know the code. You can I can have my top 50 and have them flashing, have them rotate.
playing whatever song you want underneath.
Man, I used
what
to
was
have my
TJ's
own
song?
music, bro. Oh, oh, that
I
was
had
a good time.
I had a friend of mine say, Joey, you get banger after banger every single week. I had to change mine to yours one time. I said, that's it. That's it.
That's it. You
But
just took
this
me
guy,
back. I had thought about MySpace in a minute.
I'm gonna tell you what, we were not meant to be together. She had her faults, but my ex had her MySpace on just on point. She knew how to do all the code. She would come up with the flashing animation. She'd make it for other people. I'm like, you need to get paid for this. That's what you should be doing.
Seriously.
I told her to pursue it. She didn't want to. I said, you got half the stuff already locked down. You learn the rest of it in all these different programming languages. You're good. Cash money on. Yeah, I just thought, I'm like, yeah, TJ would just straight up know it. Like, I would get mad on that guy's behalf. Why are you calling him? I'll help you move. Don't mess with him, because we don't need nobody running into that tower, because it's gonna mess everything up around here. The man has one job he has to do twice a year, and you always calling him on that week.
Bro, I have boundaries set up for events where I make less.
Yeah.
Like if I have a recording session that I am not getting paid for, if Joey says, yo, you available on Thursday, and I say yes, it's on the calendar. You can't ask me to do anything during the recording session, because I have told Joey that I'm going to be there. And I see now the blue duck that he was talking about.
Okay, it might be like when we're recording. That might be.
No, but I also still see the white one that I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, they got dueling ducks over there. So I
There's
don't get any blue ducks on my side.
There's dueling ducks. I see there's one over me, and then there's one above you where the sign in is at.
Oh, see, I got that one. He said that the blue one was on the screen. I bet he's just looking at that one in the corner. When I hit it, hey, is it moving in the corner? The blue one, I'm hitting it. It'll go up.
No, he's not doing anything.
Probably does it on.
He's side eyeing me right now because he knows I'm not wearing pants.
Oh, see, there's always somebody in there.
Always somebody passing judgment. It's hot, Nathan.
It is. It's always hot. But let's get into a little Sherlock season 3. And to me, TJ, out of all the 4 seasons, I think this is the strongest one, because I don't think there was a dip in quality on any episode. Because the first season, The Blind Banker, is not my favorite episode. The second season, The Hound of Baskervilles, is not my favorite episode. But I felt it was good straight across.
I can feel you on this one. There were less opportunities where I wanted to punch Sherlock in the face this season. But the writing, just some good scenes all around. Yeah, it was steady. I didn't feel bad about that afternoon, because I literally the first 2 seasons, I'd watch one, take a break, watch another one. But this one, I was able to pump through.
Nice. Had you figured out how he faked his death on season 2?
I had a lot of fun watching the different explanations that they gave, because each time, because the first explanation they give, I was like, oh, so that's what happened. But then they show another one, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes much more sense. Then by the time you get to the 4th time, I'm like, so how did he do it?
I like the woman who's like, and then they were making out on the thing, and he's
Right.
like, that's not how it went.
That's not how it happened.
But The Empty Hearse is the first episode of the 3rd series of Sherlock, written by Mark Gatiss, and stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes, Martin Freeman as Dr. John Watson, and Mark Gatiss as Mycroft Holmes. It also marks the first appearance of Amanda Abington as Mary Morstan, and Lars Mikkelsen as Charles Augustin Magnuson. Inspired by the adventure of the empty house and the lost special by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the episodes follow Sherlock Holmes's return to London and reunion with John Watson, along with an underground terrorist attack. The episode was first broadcast on BBC One and Channel One on the 1st of January of 2014, garnered a viewership of 12.7 million people, and received positive reviews. So 2 years after his supposed death, Sherlock Holmes has been completely absolved of the slanderous accusation against him originated by Jim Moriarty, and secretly returns to London to help his brother Mycroft uncover an apparent imminent terrorist attack. An interweave scene shows a version of how Sherlock might have faked his death by jumping from the roof with a bungee cable, bouncing back and entering the building through a window, leaving Moriarty's body with a Sherlock mask to mislead John and other onlookers. John himself being hypnotized by Darren Brown to give the time for this to be a setup. This version of events is quickly shown to be a conspiracy theory invented by Philip Anderson, who feels responsible for Sherlock's death.
How hard does a biker hit a person?
That dude, I mean, he hits him. I've now seen that bike accident more than I've seen any other accident. I've seen him hit John so many times.
I've seen some accidents now, right?
Right.
And they make watch it out to be just soft. He got hit by that bike and like, bro, Joe, look, I always put myself in situations because I'm not passing judgment on nobody. If you on top of a building and I'm looking at you and I see you jump and somebody coming at me with a bike.
But you're looking at me. You're not looking at the bike man.
Look, I understand that. And I'm telling you, I'm running through bike man. Right? Like,
I feel like he only needs like 3 to 5 seconds of being like, so even if you run through him, you're like, oh, and all of that. Enough time for them to do what they need to do.
I feel you. I'll stop complaining. I'm sorry, John Watson.
John now has a girlfriend, Mary Morstan, to whom he intends to propose in a restaurant. At this point, Sherlock, disguised as a French waiter, approaches the couple, but is not immediately recognized by John. John doesn't have any time. He's like, just go. I don't care. Just go away.
Bro, I'm not thinking about you. I have moved. I have mourned
and moved
on. I'm not thinking about you. And the fact that you're trying to do this whole grand thing where you liable to get punched in the face.
Speaking of which, I'm so glad you brought that up. When Sherlock reveals his identity, and he's so smug there, he's like, he's going to throw his arms around me and we're going to have happiness. John attacks him 3 times in 3 different restaurants.
Like, bro, like, I get that you think because of the level of narcissism that you have, you think the cat's just going to be glad that you're back in his life. When in actuality, I've mourned you and I've moved on. And now you back, man, get out of here. And I want to say something about Mycroft too before we move too much on. Like Mycroft is very condescending. Mm-hmm. Like he is very, but he always in trouble.
Always.
Get your house in order, Mycroft. You check your attitude if you're gonna be all extra condescending, but you always in need. Get your house in order.
Well, I have to go back to the original stories now. In the original stories, Mycroft never leaves the club that you can't talk at. You remember, right? He shushed you. People come to him and he figures it out. He's also very large in the original stories because he just can't be bothered. He figures stuff out, and whether it's a matter of life or death. So Sherlock goes to him to help him out, or he calls Sherlock, hey, can you help me out with this? And later on, Sherlock's like, we figured it out. He goes, figured what out? That. Oh, okay. You figured it out. Like, I already figured it out in my head. And it, like, he can hardly be bothered to just write it down or even say it, because he's already thought about it, solved it, and moved on.
And
And you're
moved
like,
on from it.
you didn't say anything. Oh, I didn't say anything. Well, I suppose I should tell you. It's kind of like that.
Gotcha.
When John refuses to accept his explanation, Sherlock enlists Molly to assist him in his next case, that of an underground skeleton behind the desk containing a manuscript, How I Did It by Jack the Ripper, revealed towards the end of the episode to be a fake planted by Anderson to lure Sherlock out of hiding. Later that day, Mary receives a text and a skip code, the first in every 3 words, telling her that John has been kidnapped by an unknown assailant and will die if he is not rescued in time, along with a coded location. Sherlock and Mary come to his rescue on a motorcycle and manage to drag him out of a lit bonfire on which a Guy Fawkes effigy was about to be burned. Sherlock is shown a video by a London Underground employee of a mysterious vanishing of a passenger from a train between 2 stations near Parliament, and later identifies the passenger as a member of the House of Lords, Lord Moran, whom he knows to be a foreign agent and who is also acting unusually. He noticed that it is not only Moran who vanished, but an entire carriage of the train, and deduces that the attack will be on the House of Parliament, which will be holding a late-night hearing on a new anti-terrorism bill on Guy Fawkes Night, the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November.
The 5th of November.
Sherlock and John enter the abandoned station near Parliament, finding the secretly diverted carriage. It is rigged with explosives to make an enormous bomb. Sherlock manages to defuse the bomb by turning the off switch, but not before making John believe the bomb can't be defused, leading Sherlock to apologize to John for getting him involved and saying that John would have had a future if he hadn't come back. This is all. Yeah.
Another situation where hands would have been thrown. I have a hard time watching this and not getting mad. Like, how is John okay with this, man? Like, that situation with the bomb, like that, bro.
As we learn in his last vow, John has a little bit of that guy in him. He needs the danger and all of that. To the people that you're close to, TJ, you'll excuse a lot. So you don't have any skin in the game with Sherlock. You just punch him. Look, dude, don't get on my nerves.
You're right. I would, and I guess because am I the Sherlock in our relationship, Joe? Am I the prickly character? I mean, it's okay if you tell me that I am. I mean, I think that I'm becoming that guy. I'm Clint Eastwood on the front porch.
Okay, I can see that. You know who actually I can see? Not like his history, but you know who I can see you really being? Wiggins, that guy from the third one. Like, you've seen some stuff go down,
yeah, but
now you're like, don't worry. I did the calculations for hers myself. She'll be fine.
Yeah. Gosh.
Like, they're gonna have him look over the entire house as they just sleep it off. This has all had the intended effect of causing John to panic and reveal to Sherlock how much he has missed him, to John's later embarrassment. Another cutscene intercut with the above shows Sherlock visiting Anderson. He reveals how he faked his death. As part of a scheme to convince Moriarty of his lost credibility and demise, the plan allowed the Holmes brothers to dissolve Moriarty's network successfully. Sherlock tells Anderson that he and Mycroft had anticipated 13 possible scenarios that could happen on the roof, and that while John's view was obstructed, members of his homeless network rolled out an inflatable mattress and took their roles as shot bystanders and paramedics. With the aid of a squash ball under his arm to temporarily stop his pulse, Sherlock convincingly faked his death. Anderson cast doubt on the integrity of this version of the events, arguing it would be nearly impossible to ensure John remained exactly where Sherlock wanted. Anderson points out that he is the last person Sherlock would tell, but as he turns around, the room is empty. Anderson then begins tearing his theories from the wall, laughing hysterically, and the intercut scene ends. You see, that's the problem with people who go overboard with conspiracy theorists. If they were brought in and told the truth, they wouldn't believe it.
Well, no, because they would have they would have thrown the truth out. The truth would have been a theory that they would have came up with, and they would have threw it out to come
That
up with something more outlandish. So when they
that's
find out,
that's like one of my favorite jokes. This man dies and goes to heaven, and St. Peter says, "You lived a wonderfully and very revered life, sir. Of course, we'll let you in." And the guy says, "Just one thing before I go in. I've always been obsessed with it. I have to know who killed JFK." And St. Peter says, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I can tell you that right away." While a lot of questions remain around it, but most of it is just purely coincidence, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. He acted alone. And the man says, "This goes higher than I thought."
what? That's all right.
Moran is ambushed by the police and arrested after leaving his hotel suite. John asks Sherlock who abducted him and why, questions for which Sherlock has no answers yet. In the final scene, a bespectacled man with blue eyes is seen observing footage of Sherlock and Mary rescuing John from the fire. Many of the cast of the previous two series return, with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman playing Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson. Freeman's then real-life partner, Amanda Abington, joined the cast as Mary Morstan. So they were partners at the time. Watson's girlfriend. Cumberbatch's parents, Wanda Ventham and Timothy Carlton, had cameos as Sherlock's parents. The resolution of how Holmes had faked his death at the end of the Reichenbach Falls was filmed in April of 2013 at St. Bart's Hospital in London. The filming was attended by several hundred fans, whom producer Sue Virtue begged not to leak too much information. Telegraph journalist Cheryl Garrett reported that the filming was deliberately confusing to the watching fans, and the explanation of how Sherlock faked his death was blanked in the script.
Nice.
The London Underground train used in the episode was built from scratch by the production like a district line carriage, as they were unable to acquire a real train. The never completed tube station called Sumatra Road is based on North End Tube Station. Filming was carried out at Westminster and Charing Cross stations. The Sign of Three is the second episode of the third series of Sherlock, written by Stephen Thompson, Mark Gatiss, and Stephen Moffat, and stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes and Martin Freeman as Dr. Watson. Episode title is inspired by The Sign of Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, set 6 months after the series opener, primarily centered on the day of Watson's wedding to Mary Morstan. It garnered a viewership of 11.375 million and received mostly positive reviews. D.I. Lestrade and Sergeant Donovan are on the verge of arresting the criminal Waters family that has evaded the police several times. However, when Lestrade receives a text from Sherlock Holmes asking for help, he tells Donovan to make it herself and races to Baker Street, assuming the worst and calling for full backup. Only to discover that Sherlock is simply struggling to write a best man speech for John's upcoming wedding to Mary. On the morning of the wedding, Mrs. Hudson reminds Sherlock that marriage changes people. Right. Sherlock calls his brother Mycroft, who repeats Mrs. Hudson's suggestion that John and Mary's marriage will change his life. No lies detected.
Zero lies detected.
At the reception, John is delighted to see Major James Sholto, his former Army CO. Sholto lives in seclusion, having received death threats and media scrutiny after losing a unit of new soldiers in Afghanistan. Sherlock rises to give the best man speech and begins by reading from the wedding telegrams, after which he expresses his deep love and respect for John and launches into a rambling narrative describing John's role in an attempted murder case, the Bloody Guardsman.
So I was curious as to how you were going to do the plot for this one. So, folks, let me tell y'all, it took everything for me not to text Joey during this part of the show, because I'm sitting there like, I don't ever think that I'm going to let the government into another relationship to where I'm, going to need a best man again, right? But if I had a commitment service, maybe I got somebody speaking on my behalf. how are you gonna make the entire thing about you? And then you got everybody in the place crying, not because I got married, but because of you talking about your falls and your fault. Like, bro, I get it. And I'm sitting there looking and I'm like touched because I'm like, yo, I'm a piece of shit too. Why would anybody want me to be their best man? So I get it. But don't do that. Don't take all the shine. He took all of the shine. So I wanted to text you, Joey, and say, Joey, thank you so much for not being like Sherlock, because you are as awesome a person to me as he has the potential to be without the flaws. Thank you.
We're not going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Good.
A guardsman named Bainbridge had contacted Sherlock, fearing he was being stalked. When Sherlock and Watson arrived at the guard's headquarters, Bainbridge was found seemingly stabbed to death in a locked shower stall with no weapon in the room. John insisted on being allowed to examine Bainbridge's body, discovered he was still breathing, and requested an ambulance. Sherlock says the most remarkable thing about the case was that while he had focused on trying to solve a murder, he admits that it remains unsolved. John had saved a life. Sherlock's narrative drifts to the case of the Mayfly man. Several days after going to a man's apartment for a romantic dinner, Tessa, who works as a private nurse, found the apartment was vacated and the man had died weeks ago. Sherlock and John, still inebriated from John's stag nights, attempt to search for clues, but are arrested for their drunken antics. The next morning, an amused Lestrade secures their release. Poor Lestrade. He can't even get his first name right.
Nope.
It's Greg. Are you sure? Following up something Tessa said, Sherlock contacts other London women with similar experience, but fails to find any significant connection between them. John's knowledge of human nature lets Sherlock conclude that the perpetrator is a man bored with marriage who adopts the names of recently deceased single men and uses their unoccupied homes to meet women.
If you've ever wanted to see an awesome way to show up a character having a conversation with 8 people, this was a great way to film that. Mm-hmm. Like, because he's doing instant messenger with all these people, but the way they film it, like they're in the room, that was so dope. Big fan.
While finally beginning to toast to the couple, Sherlock suddenly freezes, recalling that Tessa had known John's middle name, Hamish. Aware that John hates and never uses it, he deduces that Tessa had seen it in a wedding invitation.
Yep.
Sherlock concludes that all the women had worked for Sholto in various capacities and were bound by confidentiality. The Mayfly man had courted them to find and attack Sholto and plans to strike at the wedding. Sherlock slips a note to Sholto, who locks himself in his hotel room and arms himself. Sherlock, John, and Mary race after him, but he refuses to open the door until Sherlock finds the solution. He deduces that the Bloody Guardsman case is linked to Sholto's and pinpoints the military uniform both wore as the common link. Sherlock deduces that Bainbridge had been stabbed while on duty with a stiletto-type blade through his belt, which, being worn tightly around the waist, prevented him from feeling his injury and also held the flesh together so damage did not take effect until he removed it. Upon hearing this explanation, Sholto considers suicide by releasing his belt and bleeding to death. Sherlock persuades him not to, primarily because it would be cruel to do at John's wedding. Sholto then opens the door and requests medical assistance. Sherlock has Lestrade apprehend the wedding photographer and identifies him as Jonathan Small, the Mayfly man, deducing he was the only person who could have stabbed Sholto. Small's brother had been one of the men killed under Sholto's command, and he stabbed Bainbridge as practice for this murder. After the arrest, the wedding reception resumes, and Sherlock plays the violin for John and Mary's first dance. Afterward, he quietly reveals to them that he has observed Mary's increased appetite, change in taste perception, and sickness in the morning, the signs of 3.
So,
revealing that she is
okay,
pregnant. Yeah.
what was the next thing I wanted to say on that one? I'll figure it out because I didn't want to cut you off and then I lost my thought. Go ahead.
Okay. Sherlock calms them by explaining that they will make great parents since they've had plenty of practice with him. Despite the happy revelation, the episode ends on a bittersweet note. Sherlock leaves the reception alone upon realizing that his relationship with John will never be the same again.
Hi.
Okay.
The 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 guard who can't move,
Mm-hmm.
the one who died.
Yes.
I was wondering where we recognize him from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're familiar with the movie of a little boy who lived, he was in that one. That's where he got his start. He also played Wes in How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
So he's got some acting chops behind him.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
just for anybody who, like me, is just now seeing Sherlock for the first time. You may recognize that character from such things as The Boy Who Lived and How to Get Away with Murder.
His Last Vows, the third and final episode of the third series of Sherlock, follows the modern day adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And we find out that the vow is the one that Sherlock made at their reception. He vows that nothing will ever harm John and Mary Watson. The episode was first broadcast on January 12, 2014 on BBC One and Channel 1, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Nick Curran, with music composed by Michael Price and David Arnold. Episode is contemporary adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's short story, The Adventures of Charles Augustus Milverton. In the episode, Sherlock Holmes and John Watson take on a case about stolen letters. This leads the pair into conflict with Charles Augustus Magnuson, a media mogul specializing in blackmail who Sherlock despises. Holmes and Watson try to get Magnuson arrested, but their attempts fail when they confront him at Appledore, Magnus's home. On its first broadcast on BBC One, the episode received 11.37 million viewers, a 32.1 audience share. Although this was a drop from The Sign of Three and The Empty Hearse, it became the most tweeted about single episode of a drama series in the UK. The episode received critical acclaim, and Mickelson's performance as Magnuson in particular was praised. For their performances in this episode, Cumberbatch and Freeman both won the Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Miniseries or a Movie, and Outstanding Supporter Actor in a Miniseries or movie, respectively. Moffat also won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Writing for a Miniseries, Movie, or Dramatic Special for his work on the episode. John Watson, whose wife Mary is now visibly pregnant, finds an unkempt Sherlock Holmes in a crack house under the influence of drugs. We're going to Bart's. He's got a pee in a cup for me.
That's not where you expect this episode to start off with, right? Like, not at all.
No. John attempts to force him to rehabilitate, but Sherlock insists that he was undercover for a case. Mycroft confronts Sherlock about the drug use and realizes that Sherlock is investigating Charles Augustus Magnuson, a newspaper owner who blackmails people. Before I get there, I was just reminded of something. I realize that these are all fictional people, and this is just a TV show. That being said, I am never getting on Molly's bad side because she slapped the ever-living shit out of my friend. I just, boom, boom, just.
Look, yeah.
And he's like thankful that engagement didn't last because no ring. I'm like, dude, shut up.
We're gonna double down.
Every single time. Like we've said with other people. Sherlock going Sherlock, ain't he?
Sherlock goes Sherlock. Facts.
Lady Elizabeth Smallwood has enlisted Sherlock to negotiate the return of stolen letters written by Smallwood's husband. Mycroft warns Sherlock not to go after Magnuson, which Sherlock promptly ignores.
Right.
John is also surprised to discover that Sherlock is in a relationship with Mary's bridesmaid, Janine. She is so comfortable at that house. You want some
That
tea? Been here with Cheryl. Sherlock tells John that he is dating her because she is Magnuson's assistant. He uses their relationship to enable him to break into Magnuson's office in London. Oh, come on. Don't make me say
Look, just to go back to that last episode, we see Sherlock flirting with one of the bridesmaids through the entire episode.
entirely.
And I think that because he's the catch. So he's focused on what he's focused on. So when he was finally able to focus on her, she had actually gotten someone else, like she had said that she was going to do at the beginning. So to see him with somebody in this episode, it's different speak.
Inside, Sherlock and John find an incapacitated Janine, and Sherlock happens upon Mary holding Magnuson at gunpoint. Mary shoots Sherlock, who harnesses all his mental powers to stay conscious. Homeboy, he's like, Molly and then Mycroft, like, you have to pay attention because you've got like 2 seconds before you pass out.
Right.
Forward or backwards. There's one thing I didn't notice it at first, but I had to pause at this point for something. And when I came back, dude, if you go back to the point where he's falling back, the way they shot it, they tilted the room because the plant in the corner slides to the other end.
Are you serious?
Everything else stays the same. That plant, they must not have bolted it down or something because it goes.
Nice.
He is taken to a hospital where he flatlines on the operating table. But in his mind palace, Moriarty taunts Sherlock that he is letting John down by dying, which convinces him to revive. When Sherlock wakes up in surgery, he mouths Mary. John meets Mary at the hospital and tells her that Sherlock survived. Mary visits the dazed and severely injured Sherlock and warns him not to denounce her. John nonetheless begins to suspect something after discovering that Sherlock moved John's chair in the Baker Street flat back to its usual spot and left a bottle of Mary's perfume on the table next to it. Sherlock breaks out from the hospital and arranges a meeting with Mary. He tells her that he knows that she has stolen the identity of a baby who died in 1972. He deduces that she intentionally shot him in a non-lethal spot and, using a ruse, exposes Mary's secret life as an assassin to John. When he comes up behind her and she turns around and that light flips on and it's John sitting down. I've seen it before and I'm like, what?
Every time, like, bro,
I forgot. I straight up forgot.
Heard all of it. I felt for John.
Back at Baker Street, John angrily confronts Mary, asking what he ever did to deserve her. Sherlock tells John that he has observed his addiction to danger, and his attraction to Mary complies with this fact. She tells them some of her past, and that Magnuson has information that would send her to prison for the rest of her life. Mary gives John a memory stick marked with the initials AGRA, which she says contains everything about her and would destroy his love for her. Go ahead.
If you ever want to see some true love on screen, that's it right here. Like, this girl shot. So again, putting myself in it, this girl that I now have married, shoots you, shot you, and you done confronted her on it. And I know that there's all this stuff, and I have the evidence in my hand, and I say, well, I don't need to look at it. You marry enough for me. Man, that's love right there, Bo.
It is. It is. Because I probably would be like, click.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
You didn't lock the door. You didn't turn the blinds down. Don't even have blinds. You have curtains. Went and bought some blinds and put them up in order to.
They show, like, this is the part where they actually show you go to your window, see that you don't have blinds, you try and close the curtain, you look, and then you go to the Dollar General to buy a cheap thing of curtain, or a cheap thing of blinds. You go back home, you trying to set them up. Now you're frustrated because you can't set them up right. But then you finally get them set up, and then you click it in there. Yeah.
Got some popcorn, allergic to popcorn, still eating it.
Still eating
Cheeks off, eyes just red, just tears at the corner.
one just steady stream of drool coming down your face.
You got EpiPens on both things. I got to finish. I got to
You got people in the background freaking out.
I got to know.
I gotta know. Oh God, that's it. Thank you.
Sherlock tells John he can trust Mary because she saved his life by calling an ambulance after shooting him. And then one shows up. Oh, I think y'all gonna have to restart my heart.
Right. Because had y'all called the police, had y'all called the ambulance when y'all got here, I would have very well been dead. But because she called them right after she shot me, that's the only reason I'm still alive. And for that reason, I should trust her. Bro, you can trust her because she called the ambulance right after she shot me.
You know, it takes on average 8 minutes for them to get here. How do you know? And they bust up in there. Oh, right. I got to go with them. They got to restart my heart. After ignoring the memory stick for several months, John burns it without reading it and reconciles with Mary. The couple is spending Christmas with the Holmes brothers at their parents' home, where Sherlock takes the opportunity to drug everyone but John so that they can steal Mycroft's laptop. My favorite part is when they're smoking out in the thing, and she, "Are you smoking?" It was Mycroft. Just immediately threw him under the bus.
Quick.
Sherlock takes a hesitant John to meet Magnuson at his estate, which he believes contains Magnuson's blackmail archive. During their confrontation, Magnuson reveals that he was behind the kidnapping of John, as seen in the empty hearse, and explains that he put pressure on Mary in order to own Mycroft via John and Sherlock. Sherlock offers to trade Magnuson's information on Mary for the state secrets contained on Mycroft's laptop. However, Magnuson is aware that Sherlock is setting him up in a trap. The laptop contains a GPS tracker, and once Mycroft realizes it's gone, security services will raid the estate, and upon finding the laptop, will have legal reason to search the blackmail archives. With visible joy, Magnuson reveals that the plan will not work because his vaults don't physically exist. The datas are in his mind palace. As a newspaper publisher, he can publicize any secret without backup documents. By giving Magnuson the laptop, Sherlock and John are now guilty of selling government secrets. They can be imprisoned for high treason, whereas Magnuson remains legally untouchable. When Mycroft and the police arrive, see, I think there's one thing here that everybody overlooks. Number one, he says that he's going to always protect John and Mary. Right. All right. I think it's that Magnuson called him a couple of times a psychopath, and he's like, "I'm a high-functioning sociopath," and then shoots Magnuson in the head. 1 minute. This is what I should have told you. 1 minute before, when there's 10 minutes left in the episode, is when you need to hit record on yourself watching it, because he's like, "I'm a high-functioning sociopath," and just straight up shoots the guy, and you're like, that's not supposed to happen.
That's not supposed to happen, bro. Because I'm just sitting there. First off, I have to tell you, like, I'm fanning out the entire episode because Magnuson is played by the actor who plays Petrov in the House of Cards,
right?
From Netflix. So loved him as an actor. Loved the way that he played the character in this episode. So for him to just go, boom, I wasn't ready for it at all.
Mm-hmm. Realizing that this is the only way to free his friends and everyone else from his power. Now, to be fair to him, he accepts full responsibility. Whatever happens to him happens. John, get away. John had nothing to do with it. John, get away from me. Even though it's John's gun, he takes it out of John's pocket right before he shoots him. Mycroft convinces the government to spare Sherlock a trial and, as an alternative punishment, press him into a high-risk mission in Eastern Europe. However, he is recalled within minutes when video screens all over Great Britain begin to broadcast a loop of a static image of Jim Moriarty asking, "Did you miss me?"
Did you miss me?
A post-credit scene shows a very much alive Moriarty asking if the audience misses him as well. I love the way that they did it. He takes off and it starts to the end music and it starts to fade to black and then comes
Right.
up on the bar where Lestrade is watching the soccer match and then
Right.
everywhere. Did you miss
Bro.
me?
So obviously we spent an episode trying to figure out how Sherlock faked his death. I gotta see how it's possible for Moriarty to still be alive after I clearly saw him shot in the head.
Mm-hmm. In July 2013, it was announced that Danish actor Lars Mikkelsen would star as the main villain of the third series of Sherlock. The portrayal of Magnuson was described to Stephen Moffat as terrifying because he is a totally different villain than Moriarty.
Oh, yeah.
Mikkelsen was suggested for the role by producer Sue Virtue and recorded an audition video for the production team in which he urinated in his barn. He filmed that scene. I'm assuming he did not film his peeing actually on camera, but
man, that love. I've done some self-tapes, man, but that's pretty bold.
Moffat and Virtue's son, Lewis Moffat, plays a young Sherlock in 2 scenes, and Benedict Cumberbatch's real-life parents reprise their roles as Sherlock's parents from The Empty Hearse. Stephen Moffat joked afterwards that Sherlock runs on nepotism. Stephen Moffat confirmed that the cliffhanger of the return to Moriarty had been planned as far back as Series 2 when he discussed the plot for Moriarty's character with actor Andrew Scott. However, he was joked that he was as surprised as the viewer to see Moriarty return, noting that it is impossible to fake shooting oneself in the head.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like
DJ's face. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, again, you the Empty Hearse, you gave me a whole episode with like 8 different theories on how Sherlock faked the jump. You have to give me an episode and a half and how this man faked this shooting himself in the head. You can't fake that.
Yeah. So he says it's going to be a while before you find out what happens because they take a break after this, and it's like two and a half years before they come back. They have a one-off, which is the next episode, is the Abominable Bride. But that's kind of what's happening in Sherlock's head. He's trying to figure some things out because he's being driven mad by the fact that he saw Moriarty shoot himself as well. There's 2 big clues that were dropped. One was dropped throughout season 3. Another huge clue was dropped at the last episode about where they're going from here. And again, they don't mention it in this. I'm like, oh, if you don't know what's happening, it goes right over your head. But there's a huge clue about what's happening. But they say once you've got the parents in and you've got the sibling rivalry and stuff, people start to think, well, what was young Sherlock like? You just want those things. You want to see those things as part of updating it. So we will see more to it and find out more about Redbeard. I will give you that little bit of a clue, TJ. Redbeard does figure kind of heavily into it. But overall, what is your thoughts on season 3?
I thought that this season was more my speed than the first 2. Mm-hmm. Like I gave credit in the first 2 seasons to how they filmed certain things because I liked the way they explained.
Right.
This season was less to me about so much the explanation of things is this is some acting.
Right.
This is some acting. John Watson falling in love, that love story, that was an arc there. Sherlock is always going to be Sherlock. He's the constant. It's not wanting to punch him in the face and just enjoy the show.
Right.
is the challenge for me. But this season, again, I was less into the explanation, more just being able to be present and take the emotional roller coaster that they put me on. So yeah, best man speeches. It was powerful, but it was something. And then the memory stick. You're merry enough for me. Like, yo, that's
That's a memory stick. You need to take that EpiPen, get them
I'm
lines up, and read
I'm
it.
saying, right? Like, so no, this season had some it has some moment. And then see, I call him Petrov because that's what I knew him as. But seeing Magnuson, you know, I'm sitting there looking at the entire time thinking he's some kind of superhero because he's got these special glasses. But then Sherlock couldn't get the glasses to work, and then he again shooting him like point blank like that. Yeah, this was a good season, strong.
The first time I watched it, I'm like, oh, it's Google Glass. He's got like something like Google. He done made his own Google Glass because you
He
see
just
him all that.
tap right.
Yeah. But no, he's just accessing his mind palace. And that's what
Yep.
his mind palace looks like. So yeah, that really interesting on where it goes there. But for next time, what's next, TJ? Do you know what is actually next?
If I were to guesstimate, I would think another Benedict Cumberbatch piece, Doc Strange.
Ant-Man.
Oh, it was close. It's close.
He could have been
We get
Ant-Man.
we get Luis. See my man Luis. Let him explain some things.
Luis needs to explain a bunch of stuff, just everything. Luis
Bro,
explains Star Wars.
So I saw one day I'm just sitting back and I'm doing I do my arts and crafts. I like to have things on. If I'm not listening to music, I want something on. So the entire timeline of the MCU on YouTube is like 8 hours. I just put it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I would listen to Luis explain the entire MCU to me. And I think that would be worth watching.
It would take him 7 minutes.
That's it. That's all it would take.
Like
That's
you'd
all
have
it
to
would take.
pay attention because he'd be like, but that is it.
Don't close your eyes because you'll miss it.
But I'm excited. There's some big things happening. Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again is dropping as we speak. When it finishes, the one-off Punisher is dropping. And they're filming season 3 of Daredevil Born Again now. And they said that there's been Defenders seen on there. Luke Cage and Danny Rand, Iron Fist.
And I thought they didn't like that Iron Fist. I thought they were going to recast the Iron Fist.
I bet he was like, let's say they did. They got the scene. He didn't cut a hole, put his face in. I thought y'all didn't like Iron Fist. I was going to go away, but I'm mad now. You done made me mad.
Now I won't leave. Now now you're stuck with me.
You're stuck with me. Yeah. Let me tell you something right now. Danny Rand, he'd have read that flash drive.
Oh yeah. Big
100%. They don't want me around. I'm gonna tell all this. I'm like Eddie Murphy. I can name all of them, officer.
All of them. Bro, you mentioned Eddie Murphy. You know a movie that I haven't watched of his that I really want to watch?
What's that?
The Distinguished Gentleman. I haven't watched that in years.
I thought you were gonna say The Golden Child.
Bro, that's real world stuff. We can have a list of Eddie Murphy projects. Like that's a list show right there. Eddie Murphy project between his shows, you're talking about the PJs, you're talking Coming to America, because Coming to America was actually a sitcom before it was a movie. The sitcom with Tommy Davidson. What? Yeah. Just giving y'all some information.
Beverly Hills Cop, 48 Hours, Trading Places.
And again, The Distinguished Gentleman, Vampire in Brooklyn, Harlem Nights, Boomerang, Raw. Like there's so many things that we will be. And that look, I'm looking at the newer stuff. My Name is Dolomite, Tower Heist. Like these were some funny projects as well, man. And 1,000 Words, I don't think gets the love that because there's one scene in that one that gets me every time. And if I can find it, I'll forward it to you, Joey. I know you usually ask me for recommendations. The Spoils Before Dying. I encourage you to check that out.
Okay. I will definitely check that out. Go ahead and plug any and everything you have, my friend.
If you want to see me, this is where it's at. What we're watching now. I will also encourage you to hop over on Patreon to Baby Kangaroo Media because that right there is the next place that you'll go to get me, and you're the most likely to catch me. After that, you could catch me every Thursday at the Starbucks. I do an open mic night, but outside of that, man, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me, brother. As always, man, I love you.
Do you have a go-to order on the open mic night?
I do not.
Okay. Okay.
I do not. That open mic night doesn't exist. The Starbucks here, they won't let me back in on Thursdays. They know what I'm coming to
You
do, and they're
tried
like,
to
no.
start an open mic night. All right, let's bring it open for your next comedian.
They were like, that's not what we do here, sir.
And
That's not what we do here.
It's just some guy adding honey to his coffee because he wants to be a little healthier, but he still wants that sweetness.
One time I went in there and sang happy birthday to somebody and they didn't tell me no, so I thought open mic night was a thing.
Just go and ask if you can practice your comedy just in line. What you got in that cup? Huh? Let's talk a little cup talk.
That's it.
You can get me, Baby Kangaroo Media, patreon.com, just $5 a month. You can't get a foot long for that anymore. Best you can do with foot long is $6.99. They'll send you a little coupon.
And
or a little
that's on
coupon. Yeah.
On the day, like what today's chicken teriyaki day, so I get a $6 foot long, but normally it's $14. Get out of town. Come back into town so I can look at you in the face and tell you to get out of town again.
At the Joey Harris on Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. But for TJ, this is Joey. We'll be back with Ant-Man and hopefully not too long of a time. But until then, we will talk to you all next time.
Is Threads a thing?